Hey guys, it is time to go over this extra review before your Chapter 9 test. Now, it's been a while since I made a video, so I may be a little rusty, so bear with me. Let's start with number 1. So this is a missing dimension problem. It says, find the height of a trapezoid, so I know what shape it's going to be, with an area of 36 square inches, and bases that are 7 inches and 5 inches. So these are my bases. All right. So you're missing the height. So first off, since it's a trapezoid, you'd write that formula. Area is half times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Next step is we're going to substitute the numbers in the right spot. So remember, the area is 36 equals half times the height is what we don't know times base 1 plus base 2. So remember, the bases are 7 and 5 inches. So it's 7 plus 5. Next, now you could do more simplifying in your head, but I'm going to take this one step at a time. Next, I'm going to add 7 and 5, which is 12, and I'm going to bring everything else down. Next, I'm going to find half of 12, which is 6, and then I'm going to bring everything else down. So here's what I'm left with. I am left with 6 times what is 36? 6 times 6 is 36, so guess what that means? It means my height equals 36 inches. Remember, height is just a dimension, so it's not square inches, it's just inches. All right, if you had that one, good, you're kicking butt. Next, number 2 is reviewing changes in dimensions. So it says, suppose the side lengths of a rectangle are multiplied by 4. What effect will this have on the area and the perimeter? So here's what we know. The side lengths are multiplied by 4. Now remember the rule, we had a rule for perimeter and we had a rule for area. So the rule for perimeter, we'll start with the bottom one, was whatever you do to the dimensions, you do the same thing to the perimeter. So if we are multiplying the side lengths by 4, we are going to multiply the perimeter by 4 as well. You do the same exact thing. Now remember the rule for area, and also remember that area is square units, right? So whatever you do to the dimensions, you do the same thing squared for the area. So for the area, we will multiply by 4 squared. Or, I'll write this here in parentheses, or, you know what 4 squared is? 4 times 4? 16, right? So you can say either one. You'll multiply the area by 4 squared, or you'll multiply the area by 16. They're the same thing. All right, so that's number 2. Next one, number 3, area of composite figures. So you have to find the area of this shape. Now, I'm first going to decompose it. You can decompose it either here, or you can decompose it here. Whatever would be easiest for you. I'm going with what my eyeballs see first, and my eyeballs see there. So, first thing I'm going to do is this rectangle on the right there, it's just going to be 5 times 10 is 50. But now, the rectangle, I'll switch to purple, right here is going to be a little more complicated. Because I know this is 3, but this is not 12. So here's what I've got to figure out. Remember, this whole thing is 12. But I don't need this part here where I'm putting the x's. Now that part there, if I look at the bottom of the rectangle, is 5, right? So if this is 5, 5 plus whatever this is that we need has to add up to 12. So I know 5 plus 7 is 12. So that means this dimension here is 7. And 7 times 3 is 21. So I have my 2 pieces. Now to get my final area, I add the 2 areas. And I get 71 square inches. All right, if you had that, you're kicking butt. All right, next page, on the back, 4 and 5. So 4 is just a review of area of a polygon. So this says, what is the area of a triangle with a base of 34 millimeters and a height of 20? So remember the formula for area of a triangle is half times base times height. I'm going to substitute my numbers in. Area is half times the base is 34 times the height is 20. Now, you can just type in half times 34 times 20 in your calculator if you want. But if you get it, you're going to get area is 340. And since it's area, it's going to be square millimeters. All right. If you had that one, awesome. Last one is number 5, is polygons on the coordinate plane. This is find the perimeter of a figure with the following coordinates. Now notice they're giving me 4 coordinates. So I'm guessing it could be a rectangle, could be a trapezoid, could be whatever. So I'm going to find the distance. Now I'm going to remind you of the trick. So first off, I'm going to start assuming, let's see if it is a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle to help me see. So we're going to start by looking at the first 2 coordinates. Remember, ignore the coordinates that are the same. So you ignore the 8s, and you subtract the ones that are different. So 5 minus 2 is 3. So that means those 2 points are 3 apart. Now, I'm going to put 3 right here. Now, if it's a rectangle, this one will also be 3. If it's not a rectangle, it won't be, but we'll check. All right, so next, let me clear off my ink there. So the next thing I've got to do is I've got to do the same thing with the second and third coordinates. So I'm going to ignore the ones that are the same, the 5s. And I'm going to subtract the ones that are different. So 8 minus 3 is 5. So that means those 2 points are 5 apart. Now, if it's a rectangle, both sides will be 5. But remember, it didn't say it's a rectangle, so I'm going to go and test the next ones. So the next things I do is I do the same thing with the third and the fourth point. So ignore the ones that are the same. So ignore the 3s. Subtract the ones that are different. So 5 minus 2 is 3. All right, so those sides are both 3. Now, the last thing I'm going to test just to make sure it's a rectangle is I've got to do the last point with the first point. So ignore the ones that are the same. The 2s are the same. And subtract the ones that are different. 8 minus 3 is 5. So guess what? They're both 5. So it is a rectangle. But I'm not done, because it says find the perimeter. Now, do you remember what perimeter is? It's the distance around a figure. So you have to add up 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3. And 5 plus 5 is 10. Plus 3 is 13. Plus 3 is 16. And remember, perimeter is not square units. So it is just units, because it's just the distance around the shape. All right. Guess what? We're done with this review. Be ready, because it represents some problems that are on your test. Later.